Medford Township Council meeting. I'll begin with the open public meeting statement. Notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting a copy of the agenda on the bulletin board at the municipal building and on the township website, filing a copy of the agenda in the office of the township clerk at the municipal building, forwarding a copy of the agenda to the central record in the Burlington County Times, forwarding written notice to each person who has requested copies of the regular meeting schedule. All the above posting, filing, and mailing have taken place on the 1st of March, 2013. Do all rise for the flag salute, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Beanstalk?
Here.
Mr. Pace?
Here.
Mr. Watson?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Belloni?
Here.
Mayor Chekai?
Here. All right, next item on the agenda is communication scheduling matters, council agenda, presentations, and any amendments to the agenda.
Okay, first, one amendment or correction on Resolution 55-2013, which is appointing the municipal judge. The term is an unexpired term to since July 17, 2015. The AOC, the Administrative Office of the Court, Burlington Vistage, reviewed that and corrected that. So the judge appointment is for the unexpired term of former Judge Faxon, and again, an unexpired term to July 17, 2015. On the executive session, although the revised agenda was put out, the last item mattered relating to collective bargaining and or employment relationship status of contract with MTPOA unit, and that's under Executive Statute 10:4-12B 4 and 8. And as far as scheduling, this Sunday is the library cleanup day that the volunteers are organizing in conjunction with my office on Sunday, March 10th, starting at 12 p.m. Council's invited to participate, supervise, oversee, whatever you guys want to do. Hopefully you'll get out there. I will either be out there to open and or close the facility rather than have some staff do it on that would be an overtime issue. So I'll take care of that and or I've got dealt with it. So
I'll definitely be there, so you have to go somewhere and when you close up,
Okay.
you don't have to do that for you.
that's fine. That's all I have there.
Okay. All right, next item under communications, let's see here. Next meeting, budget workshop on March 12, 2013, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. And next regular meeting is March 19th, 2013 at 7:30 p.m., both public safety building. Question is, given our status with the budget at this point, I'm just wondering if we want to think about introduction on March 12th, as opposed to waiting to the 19th.
We can have it ready for introduction if council's comfortable with it. You can still change it and amend it after the introduction.
Yeah, we have until April 26th.
I'm okay with that. I mean,
this way we'll meet the statutory deadline, which is March 15th.
We'd still have a discussion though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're still gonna have the meeting and we'll discuss things, and if we decide to change things, maybe we'll put it off until the 19th. We can still do that.
Okay, so we'll have it ready for
introduction.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I've resolved most of your questions with
We'd still like to hear from Kevin Frank.
yes, he will be there. We've requested his presence at the March 12th meeting, correct?
yes.
Yeah, so he will be there to answer your questions, but I've had a discussion with him, and I think I've resolved the questions that you had, and they were resolved favorably, so I think we're still in a place.
Do we anticipate that being a long meeting?
I wouldn't.
The only reason is because we made the meeting on the,
We made it at 6, figuring it would be 2 hours.
but that was based on I thought we did that on the 26th, because I had to leave early that night, but
Right.
do we want to make this at 7 p.m. or just leave it at 6? Because it was hard, I had a hard time.
It's already been noticed.
It's
All
already.
right, well,
been-
let's leave it. Let's just leave it. Okay. All right. So the next item we have under communications is the lights out for Earth Proclamation. And if I could I have the members of Troop 23? Let's see here, my eyesight's a little bad. Let's see here. 24-349. Could you ladies step forward, please? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Pam Chekai. Hi, my name is Pam Chekai, and this is Colby Schweiben's, Miranda Clement, and Jess Raskus. Earth Hour is a World Wildlife Fund campaign where non-essential lights go out for 1 hour as a call for action on global warming.
Last year, the lights went out at the Eiffel Tower, Buckingham Palace, the Great Wall of China, Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio, the Sydney Opera House, the Empire State Building, the Basilica at the Vatican, the Vegas Strip, and many other important landmarks.
This issue is simple. Global warming means more severe droughts, more insect-borne disease, costly floods, and environmental damage. 2/3 of all polar bears will vanish in my lifetime if their habitat continues to melt away.
This is the 5th year the Town Council has helped us promote Earth Hour. This year we're also promoting Arctic Home, a new partnership between the World Wildlife Fund and Coca-Cola to establish a refuge for polar bears displaced by melting ice. To learn more, go to arctichome.com. We have specially marked cans as a reminder for you.
And you brought them to
Did you bring enough for everybody?
And we ask everyone to please visit earthhour.org and become one of the millions of people in 152 countries who are helping to raise awareness of this global issue. On behalf of our troop and all endangered animals who don't have a voice, thank you.
All right, ladies, well, thank you. We appreciate you coming in, and you know, the township is more than happy to you know, put forth this proclamation in recognition of you know, the Earth Hour. And I want to thank Mrs. Stern, your troop leader, of course, for didn't you know, acknowledge that she was here, but I want to thank her for bringing you ladies in. And now I'll read the proclamation into the record. Proclamation to encourage extinguishing all non-essential lights throughout the township for the hour between 8:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. on March 23, 2013, as part of the climate change event Earth Hour 2013. Whereas the Township of Medford has a proud history of resource conservation and environmental protection, and whereas our community is deeply concerned about flooding, severe storms, and other impacts of climate change, and believes energy efficiency, natural resource conservation, public awareness, and action by world leaders are important elements to combating climate change. And whereas Earth Hour is a worldwide symbolic event organized by the World Wildlife Fund to raise awareness about climate change. And whereas Earth Hour asks all citizens, businesses, governmental agencies, and schools to turn off all non-essential lighting for 1 hour beginning at 8:30 p.m. on March 23, 2013. And whereas extinguishing non-essential lights in the township for 1 hour will send a clear message that people of the Township of Medford and the state of New Jersey are concerned about climate change and stand with citizens worldwide in urging world leaders to immediately take measures to fight climate change. Now therefore be proclaimed that the Township of Medford hereby declares March 23rd as Earth Hour Day in Medford, directs township employees to turn off non-essential lights at township government buildings, and encourages building owners and residents to similarly turn off all non-essential lights for the hour between 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. on March 23rd, 2013, to raise awareness about global climate change. Thank you, ladies. You want us in front?
No, Chris.
I think she's going out. Can I be in the front row?
Thank you, ladies. Ladies may go if you want. I know you all have homework to do. All right, next item on the agenda, approval of minutes from the February 26, 2013 budget workshop minutes and February 26, 2013 executive session minutes. Do I have any changes, additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Pace. Thank you, Mr. Rowling. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. First item is the announcement of the appointment of a tax assessor. That falls to me in Medford Township by ordinance, and I'm announcing and spreading across the minutes that the appointment of Joe Raymond, assessor, currently also the assessor in Delanco on Monday evenings, and formerly the assistant deputy in Howell Township from Monmouth County, resides in Maple Shade and has started on Friday, the 1st of March. His hours now will be extended to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. In the past, the assessor was Monday through Thursday. We've now added Friday with our new assessor. If you're in the building, please stop in and let me know. I'll introduce you to him. We have a raffle permit. It's for the Wendy Keller, PTO President, Thomas E. Harrington Middle School. Raffle permit dates are, and for Lenape High School for March 17th, 2013. It was investigated by the police department, and based on that investigation, there's nothing that would prohibit the approval from our jurisdiction on that component of the license. Council would voice vote that approval. I appreciate it.
Anybody have any questions?
Nope.
No? All right, voice vote for approval of the appointment of the tax assessor.
No, approval of raffle permit.
Raffle permit? Tax assessor, what happened to that?
Tax assessor is
I'm just announcing it.
Raffle permit's not even on here.
It was, oh, I'm sorry, it was corrected.
Oh, my.
You don't have to correct it.
All right, voice vote for approval of raffle permit. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
All right. And then,
No, I don't.
Dan Guzzi's here from our engineer's office, and provide any updates that he has working under, assigned to him at this time.
Just two things on the agenda tonight, two projects. One is the Frenchshire Court repaving project, and the second is the Cranberry Hall paving project. So both are on the agenda for award to the low bidder. Both are within budget, and the bid packages were complete. Just for reference, the Cranberry Hall project is under the Community Development Block Grant Program, so this is being funded through that county grant. So there's no construction cost to the township.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt, but is that substantially under budget, or is that?
No, but keep in mind that that doesn't include the lighting.
Got it, okay.
Okay, the lighting is being handled separate because that's being done through PSE&G through the lease and purchase option.
Our changes back because of that.
Well, actually, things are moving now with PSE&G.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
And that's okay. So we've actually met with PSE&G, and we've seen some stakes out there. We've started to lay out where those lights are going, And PSCG, the log jam seems to have opened up a little bit, so things are moving. So that $50,000 for the Cranberry Hall lot, I think it was $55,000. 53,000 doesn't include the lighting, but the lighting will bring us up to the closer to the actual brand now.
Are they utilizing the existing fixtures?
No. New poles and new fixtures.
We're gonna auction those fixtures?
If there's any value to them, we'll assess that. Yep.
But they will be removed. But
That's gonna be coordinated with, so we're not like paving and then PSCNG wants to tear up the lot to put underground wiring in?
absolutely, but it's going to be overhead wiring.
All right, it's gonna be overhead.
Poles. But yes, those
We're
two
going-
projects are being.
We're looking at LED or?
PSCG doesn't use LED yet. They're still using the sodium. But this is the most economical to the township going forward at this point. Again, we're trying to, we're working within the fact that, we're working within the fact that, you know, one of the reasons those lights haven't been repaired, the staffing isn't there anymore to keep on them, the town owns them. So we're going to the traditional lease. PSCG will, if the light goes out, we call PSCG, they come and change the bulb. It's a flat rate, it's just no different than our street light system. Speaking of LED though, I did meet with PSCG and Atlantic City Electric's Government Affairs. ACE, Atlantic City Electric, is going to LED, and I have a meeting later this month to discuss that and how that could impact our budget going forward if they change out those within their jurisdiction, those lights. PSCG hasn't made that determination yet, so.
It just seems almost to be a no-brainer.
I think it's going in that direction, but Atlantic City Electric made the decision policy-wise already that they're gonna change them, start changing them out. So I'll let council know, sorry.
Okay. Brett Shower Court, again, that project is before you this evening. Low bid was $110,219 and change. Approximately $31,000 of that is going to be paid by the homeowners association. In that situation, there's parking off of the street, but it's all going to be repaved, and the HOA is going to be paying for the parking portion of that project as well as some of the sidewalk pavement work. It's their responsibility. Another project that's ongoing, the sewer rehabilitation project has started up. Council awarded that earlier this year, and that's actually starting construction on the Route 70 side, and they're going to be working on that over the next probably several months. Fairview Road, we have a pre-construction meeting that we're setting up for hopefully next week, and you'll start to see some action on that happening probably by the end of the month or early in April.
What's going on across the street from the shop?
Across the street from the
I saw that the other day. I believe it's the state cleaning out that, I believe it's the state doing that work, but I just saw it the other day. I haven't had a chance to
That's
look
a
at it.
spillway area.
Yeah, I believe that's the state.
Yeah, it was a state property.
We can check.
Okay, because I meant to text you about that.
Back to Brettshire, the association has signed off on the agreement with the town. It sets the mechanism up on how they're gonna pay the town to ensure we get our portion. That will be before you at the next meeting, just to authorize a resolution to execute that. They only had one issue, and that was the timing element of notification, because they have to get that area cleaned off. So we had a shorter period, we've extended it. They've asked for 7 days, and we put that in. Just so council's aware.
Okay.
And that's all I had for the projects.
Okay. All right. I guess we can move on to discussion items. The only thing we have here is the Pinelands Branch Library. What do we want to do with the, we've got Michelle here. Do we want to talk about that here, or do we want to talk about it at the resolution?
Sign ordinance?
Well, your sign ordinance, you can have Michelle come up just before you open it to the public, and kind of remind everybody what the sign ordinance, what is going to do. And then if you want her to touch on the rehab, which is part of the resolution packet, you could do that then, or,
Okay, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I think we're pretty settled on the rehab, and we don't know that there's anything controversial there, so. Okay, all right. Pinelands Branch Library. Where we are with the agreement. sent a letter to, actually, the solicitor sent a letter in my direction to the freeholder Arthur, who I had a conversation with about the agreement. And she asked me to put our modifications in writing, which we did, and we sent that letter off to her Monday of
The 26th.
the 26th. And we got a response from their attorney, the county solicitor, Pete Nelson, which a little befuddled as to the response because it really didn't address what we put in our letter. So we were asked to respond to his letter again. So it just seems to be this back and forth, responding to nonsensical correspondence. So, I mean, what my recommendation is going to be at this point to council is that, you know, I've marked up the agreement that they gave us, taking out the parts that we object to, which are basically the inclusion of the Medford Library Association, and some language with regard to reference to her letter of February 13th, which shouldn't have been in there to begin with. And, you know, if council approves, I'm going to sign it, we're going to send it back to them. And here's your agreement, here's our response, and the solicitor can respond to Mr. Nelson's letter. His letter basically said that we had never terminated the prior agreement, so it remained in effect, which is completely untrue because we did respond to it and terminated the agreement twice last year. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to get into arguments over you know, whether or not we terminated the agreement. The agreement was terminated, so we have no agreement on the library at this point. So I mean, that's going to be my recommendation, that that's how we proceed. But obviously, it's open to discussion.
Well, I know that it's also listed on executive, so my only thing I would add to what you had to say is, you know, with regard to the Medford Library Association, I'm assuming that we could pass a resolution that would say that we would add them as a party as soon as they, you know, verify that they've got their filing status.
Yes, and we will do that. I mean, I have no issue with doing that.
Well, we just need to make sure that, you know, we have the same rule with every group. You know, you have to be compliant with all laws. And once you are, we'll sign an agreement.
Actually, that was what my letter suggested, was an amendment to the agreement to say that when the Library Association gets their financial house in order, that both sides would agree, sign an addendum to include them as a party.
Yeah, so I would want to put that to some sort of resolution, but I know that we have it listed. So.
Right, and I guess the issue with regard to on Saturday, we took the $30,000 that the county has tentatively agreed to provide us for the library for this year out of the budget for one simple reason. It wasn't because we don't want it. Yes, we still want it. It's because we don't want it to hold up our budget. Because unless we have an agreement, we can't put it in the budget.
Right.
So it's just a technical issue. We fully intend to pursue the $30,000. It's just that I can't. I'm not going to have it hold up my budget. There's absolutely no way I'm going to have it. You know, hold up our budget past statutory deadline. The budget will be done by the statutory deadlines. No question about that. So that's essentially where we are. We can talk about it more in executive, but that's the current status. That's all right.
I would only share one more comment, and I don't mean to be rude or nasty, but I found it a bit ironic that the county solicitor responded more in his letter to Medford Township as it pertained to what he read in the press, or what they read in the press. So if the press reported that we're waiting for them, perhaps they would understand we're waiting on them. They're not waiting on us.
Well, and I guess it's important to note too, you gave us a piece of documentation that actually was submitted by the Medford Library Association Monday, showing that they had made some back filings, at least with regard to the Department of Revenue, Department of Treasury. Yes, they applied to be reinstated, and quite frankly, I mean, what they filed was 20 years worth of annual reports, so they were substantially out of compliance. And in fact, and and this is what Mayor Pace was saying all along, that when he said they didn't exist because their charter had been revoked, because they had not filed annual reports for 20 years. So they didn't exist legally. So.
Well, they only filed up to 2007.
Right.
So we still have
well, I don't know why.
They're headed in the right direction.
Yes, they're headed in the right direction. We've got one piece of the puzzle, as it were, solved. I mean, hopefully they'll continue to pursue that and get their house in order. We're hopeful that they'll do that so that we can include them in the agreement. We fully want to include them in the agreement. But we have to wait until that happens.
Take it a step further, as far as, Ms. Freeholder Arter's desire to pursue a better branch for Medford Township, of course we're going to pursue that. That's been sort of our point all along. We're looking for value in exchange for the taxes. So to the extent that Medford taxpayers get a return on their investment, we'll certainly going to pursue that with Freeholder Arter, and we will be welcoming that. But I don't think it makes sense to have an agreement to be contractually bound to some sort of interpretation. That would be a very unique situation to ask Medford to have that in agreement, and we would be the only one that I know of.
And that was a point I made when the solicitor sent his response on the 26th. I specifically stated in there that as soon as practicable, we would sit down and begin discussions about
Absolutely.
rehabilitating the library and making it a 21st century space. So that was in our response back on the 26th. So. All right, so anything else on the library? Do you have anything else for discussion? No? Okay, all right. Well, then, at this point, I'd like to open the meeting to the public. Anybody in the public that has questions, comments on the agenda, on items on the agenda, on any township business, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and we have 5 minutes.
Good evening, I won't take 5 minutes. Janet Jackson Gould, 121 North Lakeside Drive East in Medford. I noticed on the consent agenda, Resolution 56, 2013, which is the rehabilitation area. Can we get some detail on that?
Yes.
Okay, this would be it.
Thank you.
Would you interrupt the public session?
I would wait.
All right, we'll wait until we'll give you before we pass this. Anybody else? Mr. DeSanto, please step forward.
Chris DeSanto, 3 Great Bridge Court. Similar, the young lady just previously, can I get some more information on 52, 2013, resolution rejecting technical specification for?
That's the,
rejecting the plowing?
Yeah, we put a snowplow bid out in December. It came back, there were some questions regarding subcontracting. The time then lapsed, and I decided to change direction on how we're going to deal with that in the future. So it's appropriate to do it via rejection. If we have an event, such as tomorrow, that we need supplemental, I still have the emergency process that I can utilize if we absolutely had to go to that.
Okay. Last time we were here, I asked you about approaching the Board of Education as far as a cost involved in collecting the RUD. Any communication with the school board?
we have not had that communication. No.
Come on, guys, it's budget time.
It's budget time for
I'm a
us.
big, I'm a big fan of the work you guys have done here, but I mean, you said you're going to do it, and it has to be done before their budget gets done, or else there's no chance it's going to get done.
I attend personally. I mean, as a resident, my intention is to be at the meeting on Thursday night. Perhaps as a councilman, I'll also be able to comment.
Understood, but
I know there's a lot of work to be done, Frank, but if you don't get it done before the budget,
I understand.
it's not going to get done.
The
I know you have a lot of work.
Time was taking up getting our budget down to a.
We understand. That's why I keep asking, and I'll keep asking. I wasn't able to make it the workshop this weekend, but in what I understand is that the RUD has been reconfigured based off of a 3-year average. Is that?
No.
No.
We were using, what we did was there are 3 different methodologies under the statute to calculate the RUD. The first is normally you just take the tax collections over the certified tax levy for last year. The second one is you can take a 3-year average of your tax collection rate for the prior 3 years and average them. Okay, and we did that, and our rate went from 97.1 to 97.5, which went towards killing about 400,000 of that rut, which was the increase from year to year. Okay, but there's another methodology you can use too. And that methodology is you can take last year's certified tax levy and you can reduce it for any judgments, tax appeal judgments. So you're reducing your denominator, your numerator stays the same, your tax collection rate goes up. And ours went up from 97.1 to 98.38%, which effectively gave us $1 million off the rut, which was the amount of the tax increases we're being requested. So, and what that does is, and I confirmed with our accounting firm, is that actually reflects a truer collection rate than what we were using. The only wild cards out there are tax appeals this year, which could hurt.
Which we expect less of, obviously.
We should
at some point, right? I mean, that's the idea, that we should expect fewer going forward, hopefully. You're sort of mum.
I said it Saturday, I'll repeat it again. I still believe, council wants to, I believe there needs to be a tax increase, even if it's 1 or 2 pennies. That's it. That's my position.
Okay. I respect what you have to say, Chris, and that's why I asked. But I appreciate the hard work in finding alternative ways to handle the budget thing, so I want to bring that forward. In looking at the budget, Chris and I had a lot of discussions in regards to costs, and I know that the state passed this legislation that, in regards to sort of forced co-pays for our employees. And as a son of an ex-police officer who retired, I think it's kind of amazing how sometimes you guys as council get put off as these demons when the average constable police officer in this town appears to be over $180,000 a year, if I read the budget correctly. And I agree that they deserve to make every penny they make, because I've had nothing but great service. My big issue is the percentage of the copay of the health care. It appears by looking at the budget, even after this forced partnership that I'm sure everybody's crazy about doing, I'm not crazy about doing it in my business either, but we're still at less than 10% copay on health care, even after the supposed legislation was going to get people up to 30-35%. Am I correct in reading that we're still under 10%?
There's a phase-in, and right now there's no contract. So the police are at the first level. Anybody's contract, not just the police, any contract that expired December 31st, 2012, which we had 4, automatically started to go into that phase-in, where you'll see other employees are already elevated. So it's a phase-in process. Now,
but is it, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I only have so much time, but that's legislated that they have to pay more the next year, so shouldn't that be, my point is, if the budget going forward is still less than 10%, it sort of shocked me that it was still that way, because that is something that can't be negotiated in a contract, is my understanding, right?
It can be negotiated, and...
Well, it can be negotiated higher, it can't be negotiated lower.
Right, it can be negotiated higher, and again, those contracts are still open and pending, but obviously there's other different strategies than just focusing on the healthcare, and we've had that discussion. There's still give and take, it's tougher in today's environment, what you're giving and taking, so to speak, but yeah, you could go higher.
Okay. Last but not least, not that the K-8 school board is the poster child of efficiency, but they did in this last contract go around offer a multitude of different healthcare programs to their employees. And they found that was one of the easier things to sort of get done, I believe, in their contract, because as people who are employed are being forced by the state legislation to pay a higher copay, that some people may choose to take a health care option that is not quite as costly. I think the average one for some is maybe $26,000, I think, if I saw the budget correctly. Is that part of the discussion that we're having as well?
One of the strategies last year that we've implemented and with our employees is we left the state health benefit system and went into a self-fund. Except this time around, when the town did it before, they did it with the projected opportunity savings, and that's what they budgeted for, and they didn't protect for their stop loss. And so they had an issue. This time around, we have a guaranteed minimum of about $140,000. That's in this budget. Based on employee behavior, that number could elevate up to $600,000, give or take. So the employees, we've had that discussion with the employees, that their behavior could dictate next year's savings, which not only helps you, helps them, because that premium cost would drive down if but again, a lot of things have to happen, but we have catastrophic stopgap.
Mm-hmm.
But that was step one, was how do we initiate immediate savings into the budget, and then starting to change the behavior amongst the employees as to their health care and the different options out there. And we're still having that dialogue. That doesn't stop. Our healthcare brokers constantly looking at different things. So we discussed that in last year's budget, and we implemented that. And so this budget reflects that initial change savings over the cost of the increase. And then the opportunity to actually save more money that would reflect back to
But just based on my view of the budget, it appears even though the co-pays are going up, our costs of the healthcare is going up faster, so
It's the 2%, you might have read it today, there was a hearing in front of the State Assembly and Senate on the budget, the governor's budget, and the League of Municipalities. There are still costs rising faster than that 2%. And that's, even if we had stayed in the state healthcare's benefit system, 9% was the state. So, but.
all right, I just want to make sure I was reading it right.
Yeah.
The last item on the RUT, uncollected taxes, is there a trajectory of percentage being paid by the town? Like, say, for example, are we collecting a lower percentage of taxes each year than we did 6, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, based on the economy?
I have not done that, but we know like last year was 83%. So the data is there, it's just have to come into the form.
I'd love to see it, because I can provide that. That's probably everybody sort of looks at Medford as like we're some upper class town, and I'd be willing to bet that our trajectory of uncollected taxes is probably going up.
Well, from talking to Mr. Frania and discussing what we're doing here in terms of this calculation, again, what we're doing is reflecting a truer rate of collection overall because of the appeals, number one. Number two, going into 2013, we expect that, there are some appeals hanging out there, but we flushed a lot of that out last year. And granted, anybody can appeal anytime they want.
I'm not really talking about the appeals portion. I'm talking about just the standard payment of taxes.
But going forward next year, everything should have flushed out where our rate should get closer to that actual 98.3. That's what it should be when we go into 2014.
I'm talking sort of exclusive to, not really counting the...
You mean that piece, how much of that are we collecting?
Well, yeah, like say for example, there's 100 people in the building here were we once collecting 9 out of 10 people in full? Are we now collecting 8.5? Are we collecting 8? I'm just looking at the trajectory as far as the township. The people of Medford, are we struggling to pay our taxes?
Yeah,
in comparison to history, is my question.
I don't know what we'd have to go back and do that analysis on. It was 83% last year. I don't know what it was in previous years. But you're always going to have a certain percentage because you got developers. They don't pay it till the last minute until it's about ready to go. That's just their standard operating procedure.
Well, we're doing less developing, so that.
Well, you do see right now the foot traffic is based on the fact that notices went out for tax sale lien, and everybody's coming in just to catch up. You get caught up by paying what you owe on last year's tax, not 13. So you're starting to see.
You don't want those for me, Chris, right?
I can put that together and provide it. That's
Okay, that's good information.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks. Thank you.
See you Thursday.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Earl Stoll, 25 Waltertown Road. In the last meeting in February, there was a first reading, ordinance 2013-4. I think this is the one I talked to Mr. Schultz about, where I think hats off to Mr. Schultz for finding, or recasting some of these bonds,
right,
which is a significant savings to the township in the neighborhood of $605,000.
Right.
So it slid through pretty quick, but want you to know I heard it.
Actually, tonight, it's the second reading tonight.
Congratulations, Mr. Schultz, great job.
This is unrevised.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if not, do I have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Greenstock. Second, Mr. Pace. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item are bill lists from 22613 and 22713. Questions on the bill list?
Just one, can you remind me again, the thing with the Birchwood Lakes? What is that for again?
The reimbursement,
Yeah.
that's for the special assessment. They pay fees up front for the special assessment as well as we did, so we each get reimbursed each year a percentage.
Okay.
Anything? John?
No question.
Randy? No. I just had one question, and it has to do with, the, there was a line item for, it was on the bill list dated February 27th. Let's see. Okay, it was 0077, insurance administrator. There are two payments totaling $290,775. And then if I look over
Page 2.
it's on page 2, and then if I look over on page 5, there's and that's T0277, there's a $200,000 for funding the health benefits.
Okay, the T0277 is really just moving money to fund the one. We pay from the self-insured trust fund for the health benefits now. So you have to move the money from the current fund budget over to the trust to actually pay the bill out. And if you see on the I-077, it's T32, that means we're paying it from the trust fund.
Okay, I see that, the 290. So there was
200 was just the balance needed in the fund to
Okay,
fund
all right.
the 290.
Okay, all right, that's fine, that's all I had. If there are no other questions, do I have a motion to approve the bill list dated 226 and 227, 2013?
So moved.
All right, thank you, Chuck, thank you, Jeff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is ordinances for second reading, public hearing, ordinance 2013-1. Do I have a motion for adoption of ordinance 2013-1?
Make a motion to adopt on second reading ordinance 2013-1, an ordinance of the Township of Medford, amending and supplementing various signage standards within land development ordinance section 203, definitions, 401, general district regulations, 402, GMN district, 403, GMS district, 404, RGE 1 and 2 district, 405, RS 1 and 2 district, 406, AR district, 410, HC 1 and 2 district, 410B, HM district, 411, RC district, 412, PI district, 413, HBC district, 414, HBR district, 415, VRD district, 526, signs, 602, conditional use standards, 608, land development signs, to provide efficient and controlled standards for signs that balance the aesthetic and economic development needs of the Township of Medford.
Thank you, Mr. Beanstalk. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Pace. All right, I'd like to open the meeting to the public now on ordinance 2013-1. Anyone having any comments on 2013-1? Do we have, Michelle, do you want to this is, the planning board, this was referred to the planning board voted on it, and they came back, they had some comments, with regard to some of the items in here. Could you go through those?
Well, there was some discussion about the ordinance, and in particular how it related to the master plan. The 2001 community design element set apart certain standards in the community with respect to architecture and colors and things like that. Generally and substantially, the ordinance is compliant with that community design element. However, there are some areas for concern, and that includes areas where neon signs are now permitted along Route 70, and also in restricted commercial and community commercial areas, say along Stokes Road, Tuckerton Road, places like that. Additionally, signs such as changeable copy signs are now permitted for civic uses, including places of worship and all over Route 70. So those are areas where there could be some deviation from that 2001 plan. However, again, as I said, it substantially complies.
Right, one of the issues that we talked about was the neon in the village, which is not permitted under the ordinance.
That's correct.
And the fact that we do have some, I guess, non-compliance, as it were. At least, again, with regard to open and closed signs, things of that nature, which would potentially meet the ordinance if it was allowed in the village, being 5% of the total area of the window. So the question is, do we want to modify that, or we just want to leave it alone?
And your response to that?
I think when we spoke to the subcommittee about it, I think there was some perception that it could be received poorly in the community, and that it wasn't something that was desirable in the village itself. Additionally, we do have concerns that the Pinelands Commission will have issues with that particular requirement as well, or allowance as well. So it deviates from the 2001 community design element, and we're pretty certain that the Pinelands Commission is not going to like it very much. So.
I mean, one of the things we're going to have to address in that regard, and one of the issues that came up at the planning board meeting, is the enforcement. We have a number of businesses that have those signs in the village. I mean, yeah, again, they're small, insignificant. I mean, it's open and closed sign. But if we have a new business coming in and they follow the rules, no sign. So I mean, that's an issue we're going to have to address going forward.
I mean, the planning board made the recommendation to make that change.
No, I don't believe
No,
it
was a comment.
No, it was a comment. It was a comment.
And as we've said in the past, we can always dial it up or dial it down as needed, as perceived to be needed. So it's something that could be amended relatively easily.
So just so I'm clear, right now, the proposed ordinance does not permit neon signs?
Correct.
And the discussion at the planning board was that it should be permitted in order to be consistent with the master plan?
No.
No, it wasn't, it was
consistent with reality.
The issue was, yes.
So there's an enforcement issue
Right,
that.
exactly.
There is an enforcement issue, and we have concerns that it would not be consistent to allow it. As you know, as you drive down the street, you can picture a few businesses that have, they might not be neon, they may be LED signs, but they're all in the same class.
In this instance, if we get a comment back saying,
Well, if you make a material change to the ordinance at this juncture, you have to go back.
Gotta go back.
You have to go back.
so it wasn't a recommendation?
No, it was just a comment. No, they approved the
The
ordinance.
that was substantially.
Substantially consistent with the master plan.
Is there a comment allow us to make that change?
You can do whatever.
Or do we have to send it back again, because the change will be based on their comment?
No, you wouldn't have to send it back, because if you made the changes, it'd be based on their comment.
Because
But it wasn't a recommendation.
I look at it this way, we've got one or two choices. We can either make that change or we can start enforcing it. I don't want to have a rule and say, wink, we're not going to enforce it. I'm not in favor of that at all. So we either have to, either we're putting the businesses on notice that they have to remove those signs, or we're making that change.
Well, I guess the concern that Michelle raised is the Highlands Commission, and you don't want to jeopardize the
Right.
entirety of the ordinance based on neon signs in the village.
How would that work with the Pinelands Commission? What's oversight
Well,
do they have?
whenever a zoning ordinance is passed within the Highlands, it has to be sent to them for review and their approval. And if they find deficiencies, they'll send it back and tell you to change it, or they'll say, we don't approve it. We need their approval of our zoning ordinances,
So
at least on this side of Route 7.
So if we make that change, they're gonna pass on it one way or the other. They'll tell us whether they. Well, we don't.
We're not certain that they will accept it, in the remainder of the community on the south side of Route 70.
I don't wanna act based on what I think they're gonna do.
Okay. I understand.
I think we need to make a decision, we're either gonna enforce that, or we're gonna change it.
I think we leave the ordinance on.
I would wanna change it.
You wanna change it?
Yeah, because otherwise we've got an enforcement issue, we can't have rules and not enforce them.
But, you know, are you gonna will to, you know, you're making that statement, there's a lot that, even with these changes, that needs to be enforced throughout the whole, the entire community.
That was sort of the intent of this, was
Well,
to make it
I
clear.
understand, there's a lot of neon that's well over 5% out there now, and, you know, so if we're gonna start enforcing, be ready to enforce, not just in the village.
I think that the whole point of this, and the exercise, you know, you did a great job, I really think of framing it for us and showing us how our disjointed ordinance that we had previously led to bad design practices. And, you know, what we saw is an ordinance that was all over the place, it was hard to understand, so it just led to bad design practices. I think we have something here that's pretty clear, pretty consistent. It's pretty clean. People ought to be able to find a way to be in compliance with this because it's pretty straightforward. I don't like the idea of having an awesome place we're not gonna enforce it, I just don't, you know.
I'm not saying we're not gonna enforce it.
Well, then we need to decide whether or not we want those businesses to be.
We will, as resources permit, enforce.
There are many ordinances on the books that we react to. Is it going to be initiated by a complaint or something? We do not have the staffing levels to be proactive in driving around looking for everything. Although,
And neither does the state.
so
Neither does the.
if we get a complaint, then you know, remember we have part-time
The point
zoning.
Michelle's trying to make is if
We'll
we
react to it.
change
We don't have that
the
resource
ordinance
anymore.
to allow it, Pinelands is gonna kick it. Right?
I don't think they'll approve, based upon your community design, and the fact that it's a village and the Pinelands, I just think they're gonna have an issue
You're
with
back
it.
to square one. It's gonna come back to you, and you're gonna have to change it back, and then you're gonna have to go through the whole process again.
Well, then I think we need to think about enforcement.
I don't disagree with you, I mean, but the point is, we have to do it as resources permit. It's like anything else. You know, there's a priority list. You know, if somebody's out running around with a gun, yeah, then we've got to enforce that. Obviously, we got to send the police out, okay? Somebody's got a neon sign at 6% of the window, you know, am I gonna, you know, run out and create a big ado about the fact that with a tape measure and measure the sign?
Okay.
I mean, it's priorities. I think we should leave it like it is. This is what the planner recommended, that we'll pass muster with the plan.
I agree. Absolutely.
And you don't want to establish a policy where your zoning is dictated by people who don't follow the rules, and if they put something that wasn't permitted to begin with, you don't want that to set the standard.
What's gonna happen if there is an issue with someone, are they gonna be able to get a variance granted if that's necessary? Or is that not?
Well, usually in a zoning violation context, one of the options the judge often gives is let the property owner apply for the variance. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. And if they don't get it, then they'll have to comply.
That's fair.
I mean, that's, you know,
I'm okay with that.
it's the same thing with the banning the billboards. I mean, doesn't mean you can't have a billboard in Medford, you just gotta get a variance.
You gotta ask for permission.
All right, I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else in the public care to speak on the ordinance?
Just on that point, is the variance for that sign at the planning board or the zoning board?
It would be zoning.
Usually if it's a sign variance, it's the zoning board. If it's part of the site plan, then the planning board.
Planning board.
But they're not as familiar with the ordinance as the planning board's recommendation to the planner, though.
But they routinely hear sign variance applications. I mean, that's one of the things.
Anyone else care to speak on the ordinance? If not, do I have a motion to close the public hearing on the ordinance?
Motion to close public portion.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Pease. Thank you, Mr. Rowland. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so, can I have a roll call vote? Well, actually, do we need a roll call vote to close the public?
No,
All right, okay, all right. Any more council comments on the ordinance? No?
I just want to thank Michelle Taylor. I thought she gave us a great ordinance here. I like the fact that it's based on design principles, and I hope that is clear for business.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, do I have, can I have a roll call vote for adoption?
Mr. Beanstalk?
Aye.
Mr. Pace?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Holney?
Aye.
Mayor Check.
Aye. Ordinance 2013-1 is adopted. Next item is second reading of ordinance 2013-4. Do I have a motion for adoption of 2013-4?
I move that ordinance 2013-4 be passed on second reading, a bond ordinance of the Township of Medford in the County of Burlington, New Jersey, authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $9 million in the aggregate principal amount of general obligation refunding bonds of the township to refund certain outstanding bonds, and appropriating the proceeds of such refund bonds to such purpose.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pace. Mr. Second. Second? That was Chuck, second.
Thank you.
All right,
Mayor, just, you want me to summarize?
sure, go ahead.
This is just, Mr. Stahl had gotten up earlier, ordinance 2014, we did an analysis of our outstanding debt and what was eligible to be refunded or refinanced as part of, again, last year's plan of action as we moved the town forward. And this resulted, it is required under state regulations to show a net present value savings of at least 3%. And so based on the current market conditions, we anticipate savings of $605,000 in this part of the process. So just so everybody's aware of what this ordinance does.
Okay. I'd like to open the meeting to the public now to speak on ordinance 2013-4. And anyone in the audience care to make any comments?
I just want to thank Kathy Burton too, and the single family shoulder. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Those are all stuff.
Go ahead, Mr. DeSanto.
Chris DeSanto, 3 Great Bridge Courts. Can you go over like a little bit of detail? This is obviously renegotiating our debt at some point, right?
No, this is a refinancing of eligible bond series that were not permanently, correct, Kathy, financed previously. So now we're taking that and packaging that all and putting it back out in the market in order to effectuate a savings.
So these were.
Are we stretching out the length of?
No, there's no stretching. This is just a reduction.
Okay, so that was my question, is leading to, so we're not extending the debt, kicking the can down the street to pay it back?
Yeah, we looked at those models, but we would never get through the state approval process. We took.
The reason why I ask is we had these discussions, like,
Yeah.
multiple meetings, right, about renegotiating debt.
And so we're going in with a conforming plan that does reduce but doesn't stretch. And again, if you look at in that workbook, the budget workbook, we show the debt. We get through the next few years, it starts to boom and it drops.
I think the but between the 5th and 6th year, we start to see a real rise.
I think third and fourth.
Third and fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2015, you start to see a slow, and then 18, it just drops off.
Yeah, 5th and 6th years is
So
the big
we-
is a big one.
You know, as much as we're gonna continue to watch this, I think we discussed trying to ride this, if we can ride this out, it bodes well for the town by 2018. I mean, we're still gonna have recurring debt, and eventually we're gonna have to borrow again. A lot of what we're doing now, these projects tonight, were all things you're paying for as taxpayers.
Mhm.
One of the things we talked about Saturday at the budget meeting is sitting down and developing a debt management capital program so that we can.
Almost like scheduling it out.
Yeah, but when we borrow
But how
money,
idea?
but every year we know we can borrow a certain amount that's not gonna really fluctuate that budget and the debt service. And you account for the spikes if you have an issue, so.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2013? All right, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mr. Beanstalk. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so public hearing is closed. Any additional council comments? If not, do I have a roll call vote for adoption of 2013-4?
Mr. Beanstalk?
Aye.
Mr. Pace?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Ballini?
Aye.
Mayor Checkeye?
Aye. 2013-4, ordinance 2013-4 is adopted.
See, there's something to do with that.
All right, no ordinances for first reading. So the next item is consent agenda resolutions.
Excuse me.
Sure, go ahead.
You want Michelle to come up
Yes,
at this point and then go through that
could
list?
you come up and give us a little summary of the rehabilitation areas under, what is it? 56-2013.
I'll go through the first one dated December 6th.
Sure.
That is the HBC zone rehabilitation report, and it is the historic village commercial zone in Medford Township in the downtown. And generally what the rehabilitation area does, as you know, and I'll explain this for the public, is it does not permit eminent domain. It does allow for zoning and other standards to be adjusted or suspended as necessary. And it also does allow for a 5-year tax abatement on any new improvements to the structures out there. So if there's an addition placed or a great improvement, the assessor would then not assess for those improvements for a period of 5 years. The taxes would remain static. Do you want me to get further into the area, or did that answer your question? The second one is the Tidswell Avenue rehabilitation area, and it is generally the planned industrial zone adjacent. It's basically behind the ShopRite. I'll explain this for the audience, and north of Tidswell Avenue, and it's also bounded by Charles Street, which is all east of Main Street. And generally, this area has seen not a great amount of investment, and so I think this has been something that's been discussed for quite some time. And again, it's a rehabilitation area, not a redevelopment area, and so the same statutory things that I just explained apply here as well.
Any questions? No, thank you.
Thank you.
So anyone in the public? Well, no, actually, that's over now. All right, so,
Sure, the planning board is considered.
yes, and they approved it, voted on it, and,
Staff indicated the vote was in the affirmative.
yeah, the vote was in the affirmative approving the rehabilitation areas. All right. So consent agenda resolutions, resolution 50-2013, authorizing appointment of Charles A. McCullough, appraiser for tax appeal litigation. Resolution 51-2013, and that has to do with the CBS appeal, correct?
Yes.
Resolution 51-2013, authorizing the award of contract for Cranberry Hall parking lot project. Resolution 52-2013, resolution rejecting technical specifications for the furnishing of labor and equipment to plow streets within the Township of Medford for the winter season of January 1st, 2013. through March 31st, 2013. Resolution 53-2013, authorizing to submit recycling tonnage grant application to New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Resolution 54-2013, appointing special utility projects engineer. Resolution 55-2013, appointing municipal court judge as modified previously by the township manager. Resolution 56-2013, by the Township Council of the Township of Medford, finding a need for rehabilitation areas pursuant to NJSA 40A:12A-14, based on the December 6th and 11th, 2012 rehabilitation area determination reports prepared by Taylor Design Group. Resolution 58-2013, authorizing award of contract Breckenridge Court paving project. Resolution 59-2013, appointing Township Labor Human Resources Attorney. Resolution 60-2013, appointing Township Attorney. And Resolution 61-2013, appointing Township Conflict Attorney. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda resolutions?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Pace. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Beanstalk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Before we get into executive session, it's not on the agenda, and I guess I was somewhat remiss in the fact that we got this meeting going along, and the poor woman stayed here for the entire meeting. She was unable to attend, what was it, a month and a half ago, a month ago. Valerie Still is with us this evening. You'll recall we had a discussion about the Still House. Valerie, if you wouldn't mind, I don't mean to embarrass you, but if you could stand.
But he will.
No, I'm not asking you to speak. I just wanted all the council members to have the opportunity to see you, and when we get done here, we're going to break in just a second. They'll come down and introduce themselves.
Oh, great. I'm excited about being here and with my great-great-grandfather's property, and I'm excited about the restoration of that and restoring it to an institution that he would be proud of, and the township of Medford as well. So.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, next item is executive session. Resolution ES 0305-2013. Matters relating to litigation negotiations and the attorney-client privilege, Medford Arts Center. Matters relating to litigation negotiations and the attorney-client privilege, Highland Branch Library. Matters relating to litigation negotiations and the attorney-client privilege, shared services. Contract matters, attorney-client privilege relating to tax lien on block 707, lots 3 and 4. Attorney-client privilege matters relating to litigation transition. Matters relating to the employment relationship, professional appointments. Matters relating to litigation negotiations and the attorney-client privilege relating to contract for Adler Excavating. Matters relating to contract negotiations and the attorney-client privilege relating to redevelopment.
Also the matters related to
Matters relating to collective bargaining, employment relationship.
Matters relating to collective.
All right. Status of contract with MTPOA.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I have a motion for,
action.
yes, action may be taken on any item here. Do I have, no. Do I have a motion to approve resolution ES 0305-2013? Thank you, Mr. Pease, thank you, Mr. Beanstalk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving into executive now.